So, at one point you were best buds with Spider-Man? That's wicked awesome, man. So, which of his girls did you like more? The Black Cat or Mary Jane? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're taking a look at one of the Autobot mini vehicles this time around. This is Gears. Gears was put out in 1984. He would also be available in 1985 and would be discontinued in 1986. Gears is one of the less known figures due to the fact that he hasn't been very prominent in a lot of the more modern media. Gears was also something of a popular name around Hasbro, as it would be assigned also to a character in G.I. Joe. One of the last Joe characters to be created would be called Gears, and was said to be the person to invent the Power Fighters battle suit. That was one of the toys one of the last toys made and featured for the Real American Hero line. This character of Gears from the Transformers was an antisocial character. Seemed to always be down in the dumps and grouchy all the time. But strangely enough, while the Transformers were having their comic books written by Marvel Comics, the Transformers would get to meet and interact with various of their super characters, and Gears apparently became friends with Spider-Man. Doesn't seem like a likely match, but, well, what else can I say about it, folks? Marvel's done a lot of weird things. But at any rate, Gears here, unfortunately, as I said, become kind of obscured due to the fact that he's just not been thought of as much. Articulation-wise, for a figure of his size, he has pretty much what was standard. You could rotate his arm all the way at the shoulders, and you could bend his legs at the knees, so you really didn't get a whole lot with him. To transform Gears is a very simple process. Basically lower his arms and push them in at the sides, and then you would fold up his legs. And then there you'd have it. He would turn himself into a small-sized truck. However, like all the other mini vehicles, he's done up in a super deformed style, with the addition of the red pieces here that form his feet. It makes it rather hard to determine what exactly model of truck he was intended to be. But if nothing else, he does have some decent-sized tires on here, so he could probably handle some small, rough terrain. And how well does he roll on these tires? He actually rolls rather decently. So that is always a good thing. You want toy cars to roll pretty good. Unlike many of the other Transformers that we've been covering in this G1 era, Gears doesn't have a whole lot of modern toys, as currently I don't have any. And he hasn't made any appearances in many of the modern lines. So he's kind of become an obscure and forgotten character. But we'll move on now to his tech spec bio and such, but I do happen to have his card backer. Actually, I have two versions of his card backer. This one over here on the left is the 1984 card backer. And on this one, he would be in his truck mode down in here. Over here is the 1985 version. And it would have him packaged in here as the robot. So we'll even turn them around to the opposite side, and you can see the instructions are different. The instructions go in a different order since of the way he was packaged. Plus, of course, we have the different murals featured here near the top. The 84 version has a large Transformers logo, and then underneath it, it has the mural that depicted all the toys that were available. On the 1985 version, we'd have a slightly smaller version of the Transformer logo, so that way there'd be plenty of room up here at the top for the instructions on the rub sign. And then it has the 1985 logo, mural rather, excuse me. The 1985 mural shows the new cast of characters that was added to the line. Both toys down at the bottom had a barcode and their robot points. Gears was worth half a point. And of course, then they had the bios and such. Both of them are exactly the same, so there isn't a real reason to read both of them. But we'll take a look here at his file and point out it is done in red to signify he is an Autobot. It even says Autobot above his picture. And the picture, of course, is done up to resemble the one on the front of the card. It gives his name as Gears. His function is transport and reconnaissance. It's got a quote associated with him as, "Nobody wins a war, somebody loses." Gears is antisocial, a self-proclaimed misfit. Finds fault in everything and everyone. Acts this way to help cheer others up as they try to cheer him up. Tremendous strength and endurance. Totes heavy loads long distances. Launches to height of 20 miles. Floats down on compressed air. Becomes an easy target due to limited maneuverability. Can detect infrared. So, they give him some interesting abilities here, like being able to launch 20 miles up in the air and then float down on compressed air. That would have been an interesting thing to see. And then we move on here to his tech specs. You normally would need a decoder, but I can read the lines without one. It gives his strength as 8, his intelligence is 7, his speed is 6, his endurance is 8, his rank is 6, his courage is 9, his firepower is 1, and his skill is 7, so he is rather strong and brave despite being such an antisocial character. Now we get to my thoughts. Unfortunately, Gears is kind of one of the more bland Transformers. I mean, it's interesting that they did lighten him up a bit by making him somewhat of an antisocial character. There's even one episode of the Generation 1 cartoon focused on Gears. So we got to see a little bit about him in detail, but unfortunately, it really didn't do much to bolster him as a character. Gears is kind of a boring character due to the fact that he just seems to be constantly down in the dumps and just uses it as an act so that he can cheer others up. It's also not reflected well in his toy since the robot mode's kind of blah, and the vehicle mode really isn't all that impressive. So it's kind of easy to see why Gears has pretty much been left in the dust. At any rate, that's my review of Gears from the Generation 1 era. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you like the content we feature here on this channel, I would love a like, a share, and a comment, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.